My name is Vanessa Cole, and by 38, I'd become the person everyone in my family relied on whenever money disappeared. I wasn't rich. I was simply responsible. As the senior payroll compliance manager for one of Denver's largest healthcare networks, my career revolved around one principle. Every dollar required documentation, and every approval required accountability. Unfortunately, my family believed those rules stopped at our front door. Ever since Dad passed away 7 years earlier, my mother repeated the same phrase whenever my younger sister found herself in trouble. Take care of your sister. She never mentioned the second half of what Dad had actually said. But don't sacrifice your own future. My sister, Lila, had perfected the art of turning poor decisions into family emergencies. 1 month it was overdue rent. The next it was unpaid credit cards. Then came a broken transmission, furniture financing, and security deposits after failed relationships. I rarely gave her cash. Instead, I paid companies directly and saved every receipt because Lila possessed an incredible talent for forgetting how often she'd been rescued. When she became engaged to Ethan Brooks, I decided this would be my final contribution. I paid $18,000 toward the ballroom deposit. Another $4,800 covered photography. The wedding planner received $4,700 from me. Nearly $27,500 had already left my account before invitations were even mailed. When Lila asked whether I'd also pay for the premium open bar, rooftop reception, luxury shuttle buses, and late-night buffet, I agreed, but only under one condition. Every additional charge required my written approval. I wanted the hotel's final ledger, proof no surprise services had been added, and confirmation Ethan understood exactly how much remained unpaid. Instead of answering, Lila laughed. "You're treating my wedding like a tax audit." I ignored the insult. A day later, she emailed a polished spreadsheet claiming Ethan's parents had already transferred $32,000 directly to the hotel. Something felt wrong, so I called Rachel, the wedding planner. She checked twice before returning to the phone. "I'm sorry, Vanessa. The hotel never received a penny from Ethan's parents." The silence between us lasted several seconds. I requested the complete payment history. Within an hour, Rachel forwarded every transaction. The truth was worse than I'd imagined. The $32,000 hadn't vanished. Lila had spent it. More than $12,000 erased secret credit card balances. Another $6. $800 paid the lease on a luxury SUV. Nearly $5,000 upgraded the honeymoon. Thousands more bought a second designer reception gown and matching jewelry. Only $4,000 remained. And unless someone stopped her, she planned to hide every dollar from the man she was about to marry. I didn't confront Lila immediately. Instead, I sent one final email. "I will approve no additional wedding expenses until I receive the complete hotel ledger and written confirmation that Ethan understands the remaining balance." Her reply arrived less than 5 minutes later. "Stop acting like an auditor. You're my sister." 3 days before the wedding, my phone rang. Rachel sounded shaken. "Vanessa, someone sent us a completed third-party payment authorization." I frowned. "What authorization?" "It approves the remaining $28,500. My stomach tightened. Rachel emailed the document while we were still speaking. The moment I opened it, my pulse stopped. My name, the last 4 digits of my credit card, My signature. Every detail appeared authentic, except I had never signed it. Whoever created the form had copied my signature from an older authorization, even the tiny break in the final stroke where my pen had skipped years earlier. "I never signed this," I said quietly. Rachel didn't hesitate. "I'm freezing the authorization immediately." She preserved every email, flagged the document as fraudulent, and restored the unpaid balance to the actual clients, Lila and Ethan. I never canceled the wedding. I never touched the venue deposit, photography, planner, or any service already paid. I simply refused to finance upgrades I had never approved. Later that afternoon, Lila accidentally forwarded part of a conversation she'd been having with Mom. She deleted it seconds later. Too late. I'd already read it. "Lila, if Vanessa refuses at the hotel, everyone will know. Mom, she'll pay. She always does." A minute later, another message appeared. "Lila, what if she keeps asking questions?" Mom answered without hesitation, "Remove her seat. She'll understand what happens when she chooses paperwork over family." I stared at my phone for several minutes. Not angry, not even surprised. Just finished. For years, I'd confused being needed with being loved. Now I understood the difference. Saturday arrived. I attended the ceremony exactly as planned. Leela looked radiant walking down the aisle. Ethan smiled with absolute trust as he promised forever. Watching them, I felt sorry for only one person, him. After the ceremony, guests entered the magnificent ballroom inside the Grand Crest Hotel. White roses covered every entrance. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. A giant gold seating chart listed every guest. 143 names. Mine wasn't there. I searched twice. Nothing. Then Lila walked over holding a champagne flute. Behind her stood Mom and two bridesmaids, all wearing satisfied smiles. Lila laughed softly. "Oops! Looks like we forgot your seat." Mom folded her arms. "If you're going to make this about money, you should probably leave." I smiled calmly. "Looks like we both forgot something." Leela's smile disappeared. "What do you mean?" I met her eyes. "You forgot that I never approved the final $28,500. Her champagne glass froze in midair. For a moment, nobody spoke. The laughter vanished. Mom's confident expression cracked as she glanced toward the ballroom entrance. "Leela," she whispered, "take her somewhere private." "I tried discussing this privately," I answered. 3 days ago." Leela stepped closer, lowering her voice. "You can't do this today." "I already did." I pulled a folded document from my purse. "This is Rachel's confirmation that I withdrew authorization 3 days ago after discovering someone forged my signature." Her face drained of color. "You'll ruin everything." "No," I replied evenly. "The forgery already did that." Without another word, I handed the letter to the wedding planner, Rachel, and walked toward the lobby elevators. Behind me, I heard hurried footsteps. Inside the ballroom, the reception officially began at 6:15 p.m. 7 minutes later, Rachel verified the authorization was fraudulent. She immediately escorted Lila and Ethan into the hotel's private accounting office. The unpaid balance sat on the table between them, $28,500. Lila insisted the hotel charge my credit card anyway. Rachel refused. "The account holder has withdrawn authorization," she explained calmly. "We cannot legally process this payment." Shaking, Lila pulled out her own credit card. Declined. She tried another. Declined again. At that exact moment, Ethan's parents, Michael and Diane Brooks, arrived carrying a printed copy of the bank transfer they'd made weeks earlier. $32,000, Michael said, placing the paper on the table. We transferred this for the hotel. Rachel opened the payment ledger once more. I'm sorry. She turned the screen toward them. We never received those funds. Ethan stared at Lila. What does she mean? Lila couldn't answer. Michael's voice hardened. Where did our money go? Silence. Rachel quietly explained that no payment matching their transfer had ever reached the hotel's account. The room became painfully still. Finally, Ethan looked directly at his new wife. Lila, his voice barely rose above a whisper. Tell me the truth. Tears filled her eyes. I was going to replace it after the honeymoon. Michael slammed his palm against the table. Replace it? Piece by piece, the truth unraveled. More than $12. Zero had eliminated hidden credit card debt. Nearly $7,000 covered the lease on a luxury SUV. Another $4,800 upgraded the honeymoon suite. Thousands more purchased a second designer reception gown and expensive accessories. Only $4,000 remained. Ethan didn't yell. He didn't argue. He simply leaned back in his chair, staring at the woman he'd married less than 2 hours earlier. Outside, guests waited for the cake cutting. Inside that office, an entirely different future had just begun. Lila stumbled out of the accounting office with tears running down her face. She spotted me near the elevators and hurried over, clutching my arm. Vanessa, please, her voice shook. Just pay the hotel. We can sort everything out tomorrow. I gently pulled my arm away. You didn't remove me because there wasn't room for another chair, I said. You removed me because you believed my credit card would still be there. She broke into sobs. You're humiliating me. The hotel isn't humiliating you, I answered calmly. They're billing the people who signed the contract. Before she could respond, the elevator doors opened. Ethan stepped into the lobby, holding the forged authorization form. He stopped a few feet away and raised the document. Did you send this? Lila stared at the floor. Answer me. After several painful seconds, she nodded. I copied Vanessa's old signature. Mom immediately stepped between them. This isn't the place for accusations. Ethan ignored her. He turned toward me. Did you authorize any of this? I handed him 3 documents from my purse. The original authorization, Rachel's email, the written withdrawal notice issued 3 days before the wedding. He compared every page in silence. The copied signature matched perfectly. Even the tiny break in the final letter had been duplicated. He slowly lowered the papers. What else have you lied about? That single question ended everything. Within an hour, the hotel canceled every optional service that hadn't yet begun. The rooftop after-party disappeared. The premium bar closed early. Late-night catering was canceled. Luxury shuttles never arrived. The remaining balance dropped to $17,900, which Ethan accepted responsibility for because those charges were tied to services already underway. The honeymoon was canceled the following morning. Instead of leaving for Italy, Ethan spent the day reviewing bank statements, loan documents, and credit reports. Each file revealed another secret: high credit cards, personal loans, furniture financing, buy now, pay later accounts. The total debt wasn't the asterisk $11,000. Lila had admitted before the wedding. It was nearly $69,000. 6 weeks later, Ethan filed for divorce. His final email to Lila contained one sentence she could never blame on anyone else. Your sister didn't destroy our marriage. She refused to finance your deception. Without Ethan's income, Lila returned the luxury SUV, moved back into Mom's house, and watched unopened wedding gifts pile into the same bedroom she'd left years earlier. Mom called me repeatedly asking for money to help Lila rebuild. Every request received the same answer. No. Not because I lacked compassion, because I'd finally learned that love without boundaries becomes permission. Months later, I hosted a quiet dinner in my condo. Closest friends filled every chair around the table. No one expected my wallet. No one hid unpaid bills behind a smile. As I looked around the room, I realized something that had taken nearly 40 years to understand. Family isn't defined by who shares your last name. It's defined by who would never erase your place at the table while expecting you to pay for everyone else's.